Hello. This is Kelo here. Welcome back to my channel. And if you're new here, then this channel at the moment is about building a double-decker van home bus in the winter, like you see here in Estonia. Since the beginning of me making my videos about the van home, people have started asking questions about how did I end up purchasing this kind of a bus, and what I'm gonna do with it, and why did I buy this kind of a bus, and so on. So I came to an idea to tell you a little bit about the beginner level information, what you need to know in order to purchase a vehicle, to either convert it into a mobile home or just to purchase a mobile home. So the first thing, you have to figure out whether you would like to have a mobile home or you would like to build one for yourself, and what your needs are, like how large or how big it would be and which kind of usage it will find when you own it. When you are not a builder and you just would like to enjoy things, then probably it's easier for you to purchase a stock version, so that you would have workshops, you would have people who would know about this thing and would be able to help you when you need to fix it. But when you are a person who likes to do things on your own, then you can just purchase a vehicle and start building it. So, and first of all, before you purchase or before you build anything to yourself, then see what the rules and regulations are in rebuilding things and purchasing things, whether you have some restrictions that you need to follow. For example, here in Estonia and also in the European Union, you can't rebuild any larger vehicle that's 12 meters long, 4 meters high, and 2.55 meters wide. You just won't be allowed to. So this is a restriction. When we started looking for a vehicle, then we thought that we have quite a wide selection of buses, but then it came out that we only could choose only few, between a few, what I mean. And then we had a few like one story or one decker buses, and then a double decker bus, which was only the van hole, the one that we have. And first of all, we thought that, oh, we're gonna go with just a regular bus, which is easier to build and cheaper to purchase. But then we thought that one thing was very important for us, and this was that we would need to have room to where to fix things, where to build things, or maybe even to work out if we're not building anything. So then we decided to go for the van hole. And also, Van Hool is a very good company. It's been in the market for a long time. This specific bus type that we purchased, TD824 Astromega, has received very good feedback from bus companies over the years. It's a very reliable build, so we were happy for it. And also it's a simple build because it's been in the market since this model has been in the market since 1993. And I mean, this model that we have, the type of bus has been in the market since the 80s. And then we thought that it's kind of, reliable thing, as I already said, and we purchased it. So now we're building it. Also, what we found out is that you can't change an engine just like that. You have to have the manufacturer's approval that it's reliable and safe on the roads and so on. And also, you can't purchase any bus that doesn't have seat belts. In some other countries, like for example, I talked to a person from Australia, they had no problem. They purchased a bus with no seat belts and then changed the seats for better ones, and they just had to do some rework on the floor, but nothing else. But here we have restrictions. We have to get the approval. So first of all, to build anything, you need to have this bus that has seat belts in. Also, I mentioned about the engine. Our bus has MAN engine in it, which is also a very good company, which is very reliable again. So we felt good about it. Now when we started building the bus, then we discovered that the bus has a very good frame inside. So that means that the frame is very strong, very easy to fix. All the like beams are very nicely weld together. They are like kind of, it's very easy for us to cut some beams out and then replace them with newer, better metal if we need to. There are no specific shapes and sizes that it's hard to get or hard to remake, nothing like that. And if you're thinking that it doesn't help you when you're trying to purchase a bus because you don't see the inside, then actually when you look at our bus from the outside, it's very like kind of square. It doesn't have like specific like design. Like today we have cars and they look very nice and very sexy and so on and so on. It's just a square, and from the second floor it just goes up tighter a little bit, but that's all. So that means that it doesn't have like very specific parts. And when we took off the side panels, then it's exactly how it was. So that's what I wanted to say, that since it's a square build, it's easy to be fixed, like if we need to change any parts and if we need to change any side panels. And also what was important for us was the wheels. Since it's a longer bus, still 12 meters, then it has 3 axles, and the last set of wheels, they are called tag wheels, and their function is just kind of to tag along, to share the load bearing of the bus and to make the riding experience more safer and smoother, which also means that when you want to turn the bus, then these tag wheels, they don't help too much, and then to make the turning angle a little bit better, then and then quicker, and the turning process quicker, then there's a system that there are those air pads or air bags, which on top of the wheels somewhere, which you can relieve the pressure from, and that means that the air goes out a little bit, and then the pressure on the wheels is lowered, and they are not firmly like contacted to the ground anymore, and then they just don't have too much effect anymore, and then you can turn a little bit better. But then when there are other systems that buses have, ours doesn't, but some have. One is that you can just lift up the tag wheels, which also has the same effect like I mentioned, and then the most fancier setup is that you can actually electronically turn the tag wheels, and that also improves the turning radius and makes the bus turn quicker. But what happens, they can break down sometimes, and when they break down, that means that when they're like turned outwards, the bus the wheels won't turn back in anymore. They won't be like straightened anymore, and that means you can only turn in circles, or you will just get stuck on the road. You will cause traffic jam, and you have to be towed away from there, and then it will cost you a lot of money to repair it in a repair shop somewhere. So we don't have this potential problem, so we're happy about it. And yeah, so these are the beginner's advice that we were able to collect. Also, when we go back towards the inside of the bus, then the reason why also we choose this kind of bus that we now have is that this van whole model, everything is accessible really well. The engine room is accessible from the outside, then the electrical system is accessible from 2 places. One place is right behind the driver's seat. There's this kind of like a hub or so. You can just lift the cover up and you can do your work there, and the other is on the back of the bus. Also ventilation system, everything else is easily accessible. You don't have to remove anything, you don't have to like climb in between, underneath, wherever things to fix something. So it's the engineering wise, this build is very wise thing. So one good thing why we decided to go for the double decker instead of just a regular other type of bus. And I don't know how about you, but here in Estonia, the transportation administration has required that the build from the inside has to be similar to really a home where people can live in. For example, the sleeping area, the cooking area, the storage area, places where you can sit and do things, they will have to be firmly like attached on the bus. They have to be like a permanent things in there, and the only thing that you can just take out and remove can be the table. So they also say that since the regulation is that you can have no more than 9 seats, that means a driver's seat and 8 passenger seats. That means that you have to have sleeping places for all of those people, which is kind of a little bit weird for me. For example, when like I'm driving alone and I want to have friends over for the night, I could just arrange some mattresses or something like that for them to sleep, or I can offer my own bed for them to sleep and then take mattress for myself. I don't really need to have beds for everybody. But this is kind of a thing that they require, though it's not in the law. So we have to follow these kind of rules a little bit. And that we've had a court case here in Estonia a couple of years ago, and it lasted for 3 years, and this was exactly about that. So a flight company, like a hobby company, not just like planes and stuff, like a group of hobbyists decided to build themselves a bus which they can use for living and for traveling in like Europe and other countries, instead of having to stay in hostels or hotels. And they solved it this way, that everything was portable. You could take the beds out and you could take the cooking devices, everything out, so that when you didn't need it, it was just a regular bus. And then they got into trouble with the transportation administration because they were not pleased with the build. Probably they kind of thought that it's not a real like living bus, it's just like some kind of a hybrid in between, and they didn't want to approve it. So in the court it was decided, since it's not exactly stated in the law that you have to have everything firmly attached into the bus, then you can't require that, and they won the case. So I haven't seen in the law either that it states where it states that you have to have everything firmly attached, but in order to make processes smoother, things go better, then probably it's good for us if we follow these instructions more carefully and get our home finished and then get on the road. Another thing that you have to consider when you're purchasing a larger bus like ours is that even when you have a bus driver's license, you will have to have a truck driver's license later afterwards, because the weight of the bus will change, and then it will mean that it goes to another category, and that needs another different kind of driving license. So these are the things that you need to know at first. That's the very beginner level advice, since we are the beginners as well, and later we can provide you with some more thorough invoice about things what you probably would need to have to know when you start your building your bus yourself. I hope this information was useful. If it was, then good. If it wasn't, then you are always welcome to come back to see some more. And see you again soon. Have a nice time.